You've probably been on a cruise. You notice the crew working impossibly hard. And then, at some point every evening, more than 2,000 of them simply vanished. You never wondered where they went, because the ship is specifically designed so you never have to. Behind the walls of that floating resort is a second hidden city. Let's go inside of it. Here's the thing that should bother you. Icon of the Seas, the largest cruise ship in the world, carries up to 7,600 passengers at maximum capacity. It also carries 2,350 crew members. That means at full occupancy, nearly 10,000 human beings are living on one hull, and roughly 1 in 4 of them is invisible to you. Across the big mainstream lines, the math holds steady at about 1 crew member for every 2.25 passengers. Royal Caribbean alone employs over 100,000 crew from more than 140 nationalities. Somebody has to be awake at 3 a.m. baking the morning pastries. Somebody has to press 4,000 tablecloths. On an Icon-class ship, 23 separate galleys feed 27 dining venues, staffed by 425 chefs, working through provisions stocked deep enough to last up to 3 voyages, 21 days without resupply. And every single one of those humans sleeps, eats, argues, falls in love, and builds an entire life in a part of the ship you have never seen and will never be allowed to enter. So where exactly is it? The border between your world and theirs is a plain door marked Crew Only, locked with an electronic keycard, and the moment you cross it, everything changes. The ceilings drop, the carpet disappears, replaced by worn industrial flooring. The soft background music is gone, and in its place is the hum of the engines. No longer background noise, but something you feel in the walls themselves. The lighting turns fluorescent, and that keycard in your steward's pocket that isn't just a key, it's a map of what he's allowed to see. Access is controlled zone by zone, with crew assigned clearance based on their department. So even inside the hidden city, most residents only ever see their own neighborhood. On most ships, the crew world occupies the lowest decks, typically deck 0 through deck 2 or 3, the ones with no balconies and no brochure photos. And here's the number that stops most people cold. Roughly 85% of the cruise ship employees live below the waterline. Below it. When a waiter lies down in his bunk at night, the ocean is not beneath him. It is beside him, pressing against the steel a few feet from his pillow. Former crew describe hearing the sea slap against the hull as they fall asleep, haunting at first. Then, somehow, a lullaby. But before we get to the cabins themselves, you need to understand the street they're built on. Running the entire length of the ship, from bow to stern, usually on deck 0 or deck 1, is a single massive corridor. Crew members on Royal Caribbean ships call it the I-95 after the American Interstate Highway, and the name is not a joke. It is the logistical spine of the entire vessel. Every crew cabin cluster, every stairwell, every service elevator connects back to this one artery. The walls are lined with notice boards carrying rules, training schedules, and safety announcements, so the crew absorb information just by walking to work. Stateroom stewards push heavy carts along designated routes that feed directly into service elevators, which is why housekeeping can refresh thousands of cabins without ever appearing in a passenger hallway. Further aft, the same corridor feeds into the engine control rooms, where technicians monitor propulsion, desalination plants, and the electrical grid of a small town. On turnaround days, the I-95 becomes something else entirely, a marshalling area where every suitcase on the ship is staged, sorted, and moved in pallets. 10,000 people's luggage flows through a hallway you didn't know existed, and the stewards hauling it into cages work deep into the night before the changeover, then wake a few hours later to strip and reset thousands of cabins before the next wave of guests walks up the gangway. Passengers do sometimes catch a glimpse of this world, usually without realizing it. That plain, busy corridor you walk through when boarding a tender or visiting the ship's medical center is a piece of the I-95. The corridor is alive 24 hours a day in dozens of languages, and it leads to the real subject of this video. The doors on either side of it. Open one of those doors and you're standing in a typical entry-level crew cabin. Take a good look because you will not need long. The room measures somewhere between 80 and 120 square feet. For comparison, the average hotel room is around 300. Former crew described cabins so small that only one person can stand up at a time. Everyone else waits in their bunk for their turn at the floor. Inside that space live 2, 3, sometimes 4 people, stacked in bunk beds, sharing a single bathroom with a sink and a shower, a narrow wardrobe, a small desk, and if they're lucky, a mini fridge. There are no windows down here, no natural light at all. The most important object in the room is a strip of fabric, the curtain that wraps around each bunk. One former officer put it perfectly. That curtain becomes everything. Your world, your shield. The only real privacy you have in a place where you live, work, and sleep alongside the same people for months at a time. Everything else gets negotiated. 4 people, 1 shower, similar shift times. Roommates literally build bathroom schedules so everyone makes it to work. Earplugs are considered essential equipment, and veterans recommend an eye mask too, because cabin doors open at every hour of the night and the corridor light is blinding. Crew describe an almost unsettling ability to adapt. Sounds that would keep you awake for a week at home simply stop registering after a month at sea. And who your cabin is next to isn't random either. Crew are deliberately berthed near their workplace, restaurant and bar staff on deck 0 near the galleys, entertainers near the theater, bridge officers up high near the bridge. A navigator starting watch at 5 in the morning should not live next to a lounge musician finishing at 1. The ship is scheduled even in its sleep. Now here's where the crew world starts to look exactly like a real city, because below deck, square footage is currency, and rank is how you earn it. Move up the ladder and the cabins grow. Junior officers get single cabins, sometimes with a porthole, that tiny circle of daylight that marks you as someone who has climbed. Senior officers get what amounts to a small apartment, separate bedroom, sitting area, a private bathroom, sometimes even a bathtub. The captain gets the best real estate on the ship, often with an office and, on some vessels, a balcony. One former senior officer described the standing joke on board. The higher your rank, the bigger your cabin, and the less time you ever spend in it. Even good real estate has its taxes, though. Officer cabins cluster forward, near the bridge, which is exactly where a ship punches into bad weather first. So the people with the biggest rooms also get the roughest ride. And the walls stay thin all the way up. One IT officer, housed on deck 10 next to the hotel director, described sleepless nights listening to his neighbor field passenger complaints on the phone past midnight. But here's the twist almost nobody expects. Working for a luxury cruise line often means worse crew quarters, not better. Luxury lines run smaller ships, and when space runs short on a small ship, the crew areas are the first thing to shrink. That same officer was once offered a senior role on a yacht-style luxury line where his office would have been his own cabin. On a big mainstream megaship, the identical rank had earned him a 2-bedroom apartment. Prestige for the passengers does not trickle down through the deck plates. Which brings us to everything else down there, because 2,000 people can't just sleep in a hallway. They need a functioning city, and they have one. There's a crew mess, a cafeteria running from before sunrise to after midnight, with menus that rotate through Filipino, Indonesian, Indian, and Eastern European dishes to feed a workforce drawn from dozens of countries. There's a crew laundry room, open around the clock, because nobody is going to press your uniform for you. A crew gym, smaller than the gleaming one upstairs, but open at whatever strange hour your shift ends. An internet room with aging terminals, quieter now that everyone carries a phone, but still humming in a corner. A tiny barbershop tucked into a cabin corridor, 1 chair, 1 mirror, where a crew member with clippers charges around $10 a cut as a side business. There's a slop chest, the crew-only store selling toothpaste, snacks, and detergent. On many ships, there's even a hidden open-air crew deck at the bow, sometimes with its own jacuzzi or pool, where off-duty workers catch the last bars of phone signal as the ship leaves port. And then there is the institution at the center of it all, the crew bar. Drinks priced at a fraction of what passengers pay upstairs, open late, and famously the social engine of the entire ship. The crew have a saying about the rhythm of life down there, and it's brutal in its accuracy. Every night is a Friday, and every morning is a Monday. You've made it this far into a video about a hidden city inside a cruise ship, which means you're exactly the kind of person this channel exists for. Because here comes Monday. Let's talk about the part of this that the brochures will never show you. The clock. Cruise crew do not get days off. Not weekends, not holidays, nothing, for the entire length of a contract that typically runs anywhere from 2 to 11 months, with 6 to 9 being common for hotel staff. What they get instead is rest hours. Under the Maritime Labor Convention, the international rulebook for seafarers, working time is capped at 14 hours in any 24-hour period and 77 hours per week. And every crew member must receive at least 10 hours of rest per day. But that rest doesn't have to come in one block. It gets split. A typical hotel department day is a split shift. Up before dawn for the breakfast service, a break in the afternoon, then back on the floor until late evening. Around 11 hours of work, sliced into pieces, 7 days a week for months. One passenger recently shared a conversation with a costumed character performer on a Royal Caribbean ship whose day ran from 4:30 in the morning to 11 at night, with a 2-hour break in the middle, 7 days a week for a contract of 6 to 7 months. That is why crew members say the job doesn't break you with one long shift. It breaks you with repetition. And here's the legal wrinkle that makes it all possible. Most cruise ships fly what's called a flag of convenience, registered in countries like the Bahamas or Panama, which means the labor law that applies on board is the flag states, not the stricter rules of the country the passengers come from. The Maritime Labor Convention is the safety net stretched underneath that system, and crew sign daily records of their working and rest hours to prove compliance. But former crew report that in practice, when inspections loom or the workload outruns the roster, there is quiet pressure to record only the hours you're legally allowed to have worked. Sleep becomes the most valuable currency below deck, and the entire hidden city is designed around protecting it. Now put a price on all of it. Carnival and Royal Caribbean, both publicly traded, reported median crew compensation of around $15,000 a year. So why do hundreds of thousands of people sign up and then sign up again? Because the math looks completely different from the other side. Room and board are free, so nearly everything earned can be sent home. And for workers from countries where good jobs are scarce, that $15,000 can outnumber most professions available locally. Add free travel across the world on a passport that might otherwise make travel nearly impossible, and the tiny cabin below the waterline starts to look like a rational trade. Not an easy one, a rational one. If you know someone who's ever taken a cruise and raved about the service, send them this video. It will change how they see every crew member they've ever met. And here's the part of the story that's happening right now, because for the first time in the industry's history, the hidden city is being redesigned, and the reason is pure economics. When Royal Caribbean built Icon of the Seas, it did something no cruise line had done at this scale. It surveyed its own crew and asked what they wanted. The answers were privacy, storage, and space. The result is a dedicated crew neighborhood spanning 4 full decks, housing all 2,150 crew, built around a new cabin design so distinct the company actually patented it, the L-shaped cabin. Instead of stacking 2 bunks directly on top of each other, the beds are offset into an L. So each crew member gets a genuine private nook with their own curtain, their own TV, and stairs instead of a ladder. Maximum occupancy, 2 people, on ships where 4 to a cabin was once normal at entry level. The crew who live in them have filmed the details, and the details are the story. Desks that fold away into the closet to free up floor space, chairs that hang on the wall when not in use, bed stairs that double as storage drawers because in an 80-square-foot home, no cubic inch is allowed to be lazy. The neighborhood around those cabins reads like a resort in miniature. A crew lounge called the Clubhouse with a full bar, massage chairs, billiards, and 4 LCD virtual windows streaming a live view of the ocean outside. A game room, a beauty salon, a cruise store, a gym. And in a first for the fleet, the crew buffet has actual porthole windows, meaning the people who serve food with an ocean view finally get to eat with one too. None of this is charity. Over 100,000 crew jobs across one company means retention is a 9-figure problem, And a returning, experienced crew member is worth far more than a new hire flown in from across the planet. Better cabins are not a perk. They are infrastructure for keeping the city staffed. Real quick, where in the world are you watching this from? Drop it in the comments. This channel gets watched from the strangest places, and I'm genuinely curious where this one lands. So let's bring it all together. The next time you stand on a cruise ship's pool deck, remember what's underneath your feet. A highway running the length of the ship, a cafeteria serving 5 continents worth of food, a bar where every night is Friday, a barbershop the size of a closet, and thousands of narrow bunks below the waterline, each wrapped in a curtain that represents the sum total of someone's private world, with the Atlantic pressing against the steel a few feet away. 2 cities share that hull. One is built for a week of leisure, the other is built for months of endurance. And the strangest part is that the entire design goal of the visible city is to make sure you never once think about the invisible one. It works. 10,000 people, 1 ship, and half of the story hidden below your cabin floor. Now you know where they go at night.